Hello guys, welcome to another driving test video. So this was a driving test at Bishop Stortford Driving Test Center on the 27th of March 2023. Now the test was taken at 2:32 p.m. in the afternoon and it was a pass with 4 driving faults. So the faults on this test are one for safety moving off, control steering, one for observation at the junction, and one for progress undue hesitation. So let's go through the faults and what they mean. When moving off, you need to show you could move off safely and under control throughout your test. So this is why many of the times you might see someone pulling up on the left every now and then, and they will be checking how safely you're moving off during this period. So you've got to make sure you've checked your mirrors and your blind spot. So do your observations around, and many of the times people do get faults for blind spot check. So mostly people would forget to check the blind spot, so keep this in mind. And another thing you've got to keep in mind is avoiding the car from rolling back or stalling. So if you're driving a manual car, have you got your biting point to stop you from stalling when you're about to move off? Or then if you're doing an automatic car and you're trying to move off uphill, are you preventing your car from rolling back? Or maybe sometimes drivers can also mistakenly put the car in the wrong gear. So these are things that can add up to a fault for moving off safely. Number two is control, and this is your ability to show good control of your steering. Now, many of the times, you could get this when you're oversteering and then mounting the pavement, or sometimes it could even be understeering. So imagine when you're turning left and you're not steering adequately enough, and then you're turning wide. So these are situations where you could be marked for your control, which will be marked under steering. Third driving fault is observation at the junction, and this is your ability to show effective observation at the junction and the decisions you make at that junction. So this would include things like incorrectly judging the speed of an oncoming vehicle and then forcing it to slow down when you're emerging from a junction. So it's one of those cases where you think a car is far enough or you think you've got enough gap, but you forget to consider the speed at which that vehicle or that car is traveling. This can also include not checking for other road users when you're emerging from a slip road onto a dual carriageway. So keep this in mind. Look out and observe properly at junction. You know yourself and you know how slow or fast you turn at junctions. So consider that when judging the speed of an oncoming vehicle at the junction so that you don't force them to slow down as you emerge into the road. So the fourth driving fault is undue hesitation, and this is a very common one. So this would be your ability to maintain progress and not hesitate and slow down when you do not need to do so. So an example of this would be not emerging from a junction when it is safe to do so, or sometimes waiting unnecessarily for another road user to pass when clearly they have given you way to go through. So these are situations where you get marked for undue hesitation. So yes, these are the faults on the test. Now let us watch the video and see if we would be able to pick out where some of these situations occurred, or maybe if there is any other thing that we can actually keep in mind and improve from this test. So, after a successful parallel parking, the learner driver got a minor fault for safety when moving off here. So, did notice his white car on time until just after moving and then stopped again. So, make sure when you're doing your observations and looking around, make sure you're actually looking for something. Don't just check your mirrors and swing your head around. And though something might be around you, still don't see them. Look for things, know what you're looking for. So at the end of this road, the learner driver got driving forward for junction observation. And this happened because the driver checks to the right and then start moving off before looking left. Now I know this because it's a common thing that the learner driver does. But luckily on this time, he was just very lucky that this was a minor fault. So please check properly at the junction before moving off. So at this point, they're now coming back to the driving test center, and this is now the end of the test. So luckily, on this case, we are able to pick at what point the minor faults happened, and yeah. So learn from them and please avoid those mistakes. Be more careful at certain situations. For example, we had one situation where the cyclist came out of the road, I mean into the road suddenly. Although the learner driver passed, but I believe he could have given a little bit more extra room to that cyclist using the space on the right as there were no oncoming vehicle in the right lane. So be careful there. So yeah, don't forget guys, like the video if you haven't done so yet, and if you have not subscribed to the channel yet, then don't forget to subscribe if you are enjoying the videos. And don't forget though, you should only do that once. Click the subscribe button only on one video. If you've done it more than once, then just double check and make sure you resubscribe. So that's it. And don't forget, if you've got any questions whatsoever, don't forget to leave a comment in the box. So I would see you guys in the next video. Stay blessed. Best of luck with your driving lessons and your driving test. Peace.